It's funny because even though I have a fairly high sexual energy, I have always considered myself a great romantic, in the sense that I can only develop, discover, and blossom sexually within the framework of a sincere, loving relationship where I feel safe. I had my first sexual relationship at the dawn of my 17th birthday with a boy that was slightly older than me and for whom I was also the first. It was a very important detail for me, and I felt confident enough to offer him my body because we sincerely loved each other, with, of course, the limited awareness of two young people starting out in life. Throughout my life, I have practically never stopped being in romantic relationships, and the discovery of my sexuality happened gradually within the framework of these relationships, which were all sincere. If I tell you about this, it's because we all develop our sexuality in different ways, with the influence of a large number of internal and external factors. The internal factors are the aspects of our deep being, with which we are all more or less in contact through our intuition, and which we should all listen to. And then the external factors are all the conditioning of our societies, our families, our religion, as well as the media and television, etc., which distract us and distance us from our deep being. I will not develop my sexuality in the same way if I watch pornographic movies as if I only watch beautiful love movies, like the ones of Clint Eastwood, for example. I like Clint Eastwood because, for me, he's one of the rare to have a noble, spiritual, and human look at the same time. I find him very romantic in his own way. Have you seen the movie Unforgiven? I really like this film because it's full of little gems of messages of love and friendship. Today our world is in crisis, and more people are starting to question themselves in order to find personal fulfillment. Sexuality is one of the very important aspects of this. In short, our society needs to find a healthy sexuality, otherwise we will continue to be more and more alone, disconnected from each other and lost. I believe that if we are so fascinated by sex, it's because it's a source of pleasure, of course, but it's fundamentally the vector by which life is created. I'm not only talking about our life as human beings, but about life in all its forms. Think for a moment about what makes two cells reproduce. There is an exchange of electromagnetic energy between the two cells, which give birth to a third, etc. This is how life is created. The formidable intelligence that is behind and at the source of this phenomenon remains a mystery to all of us. But if we finally raised our consciousness to the beauty and magic of this phenomenon, our sexuality would be completely transformed. Sex is in reality an exchange of energies of consciousness which create forms of life. For my part, even if I have sometimes also, always in the context of my romantic relationships, let myself be carried away by the base impulses of my ego, I have most of the time brought a spiritual dimension to my sexuality and in my way of expressing my sexuality. Instinctively, I expressed the fundamental nature of life in all its beauty and purity. This is why I was able to pose naked in very sexual positions while remaining beautiful and pure. A very great photographer once told me that my beauty resided in the fact that I was one of the rare ones to pose in an extremely sexual way, but without looking pornographic. It's because I put a dimension of love in what I did, and it could be seen on my face, in my eyes, my smile. It's in this dimension of love that fantasy, play, and pleasure should always take place. Broadly speaking, the way we relate to ourselves determines the way we relate to our partner, and not just sexually. So, if I want to improve my relationship with my partner, I must improve my relationship with myself. And if we are once again in a relationship of sincere love, our partner will strive to be receptive to our intimacy. And he will also try to develop an intimacy with himself and then communicate it. Together with this work of intimate and reciprocal research, we can then evolve together. There are surely a very large number of practices that help to develop intimacy with oneself. But it requires one thing, is to be alone with oneself. For my part, I really enjoy having romantic dates with myself, lighting candles, putting on jazz and pouring myself a good glass of wine in the evening, putting myself in a slightly undressed but comfortable outfit, and then looking at myself in the mirror and talking to myself with love, letting the passion that drives me emerge, exactly the way I dream my man treats me. I also really like writing or stretching in the peace and quiet of my room. In my bed at night, I also like to rediscover my skin from time to time, caressing myself gently and tenderly. Whatever we do, we must strive to let go of judgments, expectations, or any form of thoughts that would be restrictive or would prevent the deployment of our self-esteem. It is about always trying at every moment to welcome all parts of our being with gentleness and love.